Welcome back.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, how's it going?
It's good.
What's up? What's on your mind?
I was looking at a thing and I was like, wow, he hasn't done anything since, 98, 99. That's good. Oh, wait, it's because he's dead. Thank God.
Who?
Kubrick.
Not a fan?
No.
Okay.
I don't think there has been a single Kubrick film that I have ever seen that I haven't wanted to set on fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I was hoping you would save this rant for 2001.
Oh, no. That's the start of the rant.
Okay.
Is my ever-loving hate for 2001.
How many of his movies have you seen?
Well, let's see here.
He didn't make a few.
Not as many as you'd think.
He made a few.
Let's see here. That aren't documentaries.
Right.
That he has been the director for.
Yes.
1, 2, 3,
Name them.
4. Okay, we'll start at the beginning. 1953.
Okay. The Killing?
Fear and Desires.
Okay.
1955. Killer's Kiss. 56. The Killing. 57. Paths of Glory.
Oh, with Kirk Douglas. Yeah.
1960. Spartacus.
I have not seen that.
62. Lolita.
I didn't make it all the way through that.
64. Doctor Strange Love, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
I have seen all of that.
68 was
2001!
1971, A Clockwork Orange. 75, Barry Lyndon.
Yes. I have not made it all the way through that. It's over 3 hours.
80 is The Shining.
Yep. 86 is Full Metal Jacket.
87 is Full Metal Jacket.
That was 86. Okay.
And 1999 is Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay.
Of that, I have seen too much of Spartacus, all of Doctor Strangelove, 2001, A Clockwork Orange, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay. I think we've seen many of the same ones. I haven't seen any of Spartacus, you haven't seen any of Barry Lyndon.
Right.
Okay. And you're not a fan.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
What is that in reference to? Which two cats are fighting?
I would say that would be his entire directing style as far as I'm concerned.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should?
Yes. Wow. First of all, it doesn't need to be over 2 hours just so you could have long, winding cinematographic shots. You don't need to add 45 minutes of long-ass fucking hallways. Or running around in a spaceship.
Disagree. You do.
See, but I also, and I will repeat this when we watch 2001, Stanley Kubrick, I want to say this clearly and distinctly. Stanley Kubrick is why God invented the fast-forward button. And because there is no God, man had to do it.
That's concise enough for a tweet.
Yeah.
I will make sure and tweet that out.
Yeah.
See, one of the things I really loved about this movie was the pacing.
Because you want to stick a ice pick in your eye?
No.
I picked the utility, based on the movie.
I don't remember an ice pick in this at all.
Oh, I was thinking snow and ice pick.
Oh.
Through the eye.
Okay. No, I actually, I felt like the movie just kept trucking along. I thought the pacing was great here.
Well, I could see you would say that as compared to 2001.
No, see, 2001, each of Kubrick's, quote-unquote great movies.
Great or grandiose?
Something dose.
Uh-huh. I
I
need more beer for this shit.
Well, you know where it is.
Yeah, you're gonna pass it to me.
It's in my hand. Each of his,
Oh, and he's also an
masterpiece
asshole.
book, probably. Well, he's a dead asshole. Is kind of an entry-level class into doing a part of filmmaking.
For 3 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. Think of how much money it takes, to get a ticket for a 3-hour movie. It's cheaper than school. 2001 was about sound. I'm gonna stick with that.
And long,
Yeah.
boring shots of running.
No. 2001 was about sound design. Because it was super important, and we'll get to that in this one. Barry Lyndon was all about light. Because the whole thing was shot with natural light.
Okay, I lied. I have one favorite Stanley Kubrick
And
movie.
go fuck yourself if you think that you can shoot a movie with natural light. What is it?
Strangelove. Do you know why?
Because it's got...
An hour and a half.
Oh. I think that was also James Earl Jones' first movie.
It's possible.
And it's got, what's his name, from the Pink Panther? Peter Sellers.
Sure.
He, I think, had 3 parts in that movie. And Slim Pickens is in that one.
Cat!
Yeah, this one I felt was about pacing. Because, yeah, it's 2.5 hours long, but it didn't feel like 2.5 hours for me. Because I was engaged with the movie and not just reading Facebook.
I wasn't reading Facebook.
Okay.
What I was reading yesterday when we started the movie
Uh-huh.
was the trivia.
Uh-huh.
Which leads me to believe Kubrick is an asshole.
I could see that.
Today...
I feel like being a method director, which...
And torturing your actresses did not make you a good person.
Like, being a method director makes you kind of an asshole. Like, if your actors and actresses are like, yeah, we're method, great. You're doing great, little boy. What are you talking? Shelley, shut up. Like, if everyone is method, that's great. If you're the only person and you're directing, no, that's not going to work out for you. Yeah. Like, history will not love you for this.
I appreciate the fact that the kid didn't know he was in a horror movie until he was 17.
Yeah.
That does not make up
for the treatment of
Shelley Duvall. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there are a couple parts in this movie, even just watching it this time, ooh, you can't just justify that. You can't just write that off in your head.
No.
Nope. That's not okay.
No. And that bugs me.
Okay.
You know. And I don't know, that's a thing I can't get over. And the fact that, Stephen King is not all that thrilled with this adaptation of his movie, or his book. Which leads me to want to read the book.
I own the book. I only read that book when I'm in a hotel. So, after 2 or 3 years, I'm only about halfway through it.
Is it kind of like I only read The Hot Zone while I'm on an airplane because I like making other people nervous about contagious diseases?
Yeah. I mean, that and hey, we're we're going to be in a hotel for 4 days. I'm going to read this to pass the time between beers.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that in my downtime in a hotel this year.
Yeah, but the book is all about it, right under the surface, it's all about just dealing with alcoholism.
Well, okay, let's start at the beginning.
They hardly touch that here.
Let's start at the beginning with Jack.
Okay.
He was an asshole from the beginning. He was an abusive asshole from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then are we led to believe that is he a reincarnate? Is that what this is?
There is some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff that's potential.
Okay.
So, like, Jack has always been there, as Grady tells him in the bathroom.
Right.
A different Grady than they're mentioned at the beginning, but possibly the same Grady also?
I was led to believe that it was the same Grady, it just hadn't, like, the killing of his wife and his daughters hadn't happened yet, and that's why he said he didn't remember.
Well, it was also in the past, but Ullman mentioned a different Grady had done that.
Huh.
So it's like maybe same family line, maybe just a reincarnate kind of thing.
But he said that his daughters were running around.
That's true.
And it was the daughters that were murdered.
It could have been a different Grady's daughters.
See, that seems stretchy.
Yeah, it's timey-wimey, I think, is the best explanation that's been given. Oh, like, another thing was Tony, Danny's little friend,
Red
and his
Rum.
finger, Red Rum. One of the other theories that, like, I've seen some fairly convincing arguments.
Is it that that documentary you watched?
No.
Room 237?
Yeah, I think it's called Room 237. I watched it. It's entertaining, and sometimes like, maybe.
Okay.
Like, you are convinced by that argument. I am not.
Right.
But one of the things that I've seen people talk about is how Tony is actually future Danny using the shine to talk to his younger self. And maybe spare him from some things, and like, okay, I'm going to show you this. It's going to scare the shit out of you.
Run.
You need to remember this.
Right.
Like, this is going to be important in days, months, like, because that's the problem with timey-wimey interpersonal communication.
Right.
And it can't just say, like, hey, I'm future you, talking to you in your brain.
Yeah.
And that apparently, like, that's something that the shine can do, or is not. It doesn't break the rules of the story.
Okay. Alright.
But, like, where do you get the shine?
Because the one guy said he was passed down from his grandmother?
Yeah.
Well, his father obviously has some mental problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's something brain jumbly on that side of the family tree.
That's true. But, like, near the end, Wendy starts seeing the ghosts as well. Like the bear ghost blowing a guy in a room.
You mean the furry?
Yeah.
He was obviously a man in a suit because you saw his butt. Because it had a back flap.
Yeah.
It was a furry.
Okay. Yeah, the furry.
Blowing the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was just to the point of hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming she saw shadows and just couldn't interpret it.
Okay, so it was like more like a post-traumatic stress thing.
It wasn't...
Or even just a traumatic stress
I was like,
thing.
we hadn't hit post yet, because she hadn't quite left.
She's been in the middle of stress.
Yeah, she was having, and her husband just broke down the door and somehow got out of a locked room and, all of those things.
Like, everything except him getting out of the locked room could be explained by mental health issues.
Yes.
But him getting out, like, he needed help to get out of the room. And, like, it's possible, I guess, that, like, Fugue State Danny / Tony let him out, but he wouldn't have had the time to let him out of the pantry.
Do the red rum stuff.
And then like get back up to do the red rum that far ahead of Jack.
Not unless he unlocked it and there was time between when he unlocked, like, if Danny taking the pin out of the door had disturbed slumbering Jack, and it took him a while. It took him a little bit to come to, and then he started hearing things. I would say it is conceivable that there was enough time, for him to get up, and his mom was sleeping, and just start doing the red rum stuff.
Should we, like, pace it out, 12 Angry Men style? And
No. No, we shall not.
Oh. Okay.
So, so I think that is a possibility. I would say that as if you're not willing to break the wall of psychosis, break the wall of psychosis. If you want to stay in the realm of psychosis, then I think that is possible.
If we don't want to add literal ghosts?
Yes.
Okay.
And, when Shelley's running around and freaking out, I think that's exactly what she's doing. She doesn't feel safe. Everywhere she turns, she's terrified.
Yeah.
She can't walk into this room for whatever the shadowy reasons are, that sort of thing.
Well, then again, we know that Danny has some kind of supernatural ability.
Yes.
Because he got the shine. Because he can communicate telepathically with Scatman Crothers.
Right.
Across great distances.
Also true.
And potentially communicate with his future self. So, I mean, we already have a supernatural element. So,
if you want to compound it, compound
adding ghosts.
Yeah. I don't know.
Cats.
I don't know. All right, so here's a question. The job that Jack applied for? Let's pretend it's not in a haunted psychopathic thing. It's
hey, we need a caretaker because
snow.
It's not going to be easy to get here.
Yeah. Do you think is that something you would be interested in doing?
Fuck yes.
As long as you had Netflix?
Yeah.
As long as you had internet?
Yeah. Internet, sure. But, like, I'm also concerned with, like, insulin and barley. What? Don't just look at me like that.
So, in a perfect world where your pancreas paid attention to what it was supposed to do. And that was, like, I have my own, like, pharmaceutical needs. But,
yeah.
Do you think you could go up for 5 months and be disconnected?
Oh, it was a lot longer than 5 months. It was like 7 months for them.
Oh.
Because he was the contracted custodian to March 1st.
Okay.
So, and I think it was November to March. No, not March 1st, May 1st.
Okay.
So I think it was like November to May.
Okay.
So that's 6 months.
Could you do it?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not going to miss much. It's the winter. Like, I could probably do 6 weeks of that, no problems.
Do you think we could do that without killing each other?
Do you mean literally or figuratively?
Something dose.
Maybe. You got your Facebooks. The Twitterers.
Yeah. Well, in a space like that, you could literally just take a day off and not see the other person.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to go into this room with this great bathtub. I'll see you in 3 days.
That's hopefully not occupied by some crazy naked woman.
Unnecessary nudity.
I'm going to say 3/4 of the nudity was unnecessary.
The old lady's nudity was okay?
The old lady's nudity wasn't titillating.
True.
And, like, even when, he's... Okay. I'm gonna say most of the nudity is in fact unnecessary. The two nude paintings or photographs that we have in Scatman Crothers' apartment, I think it helped develop the character as a skeezy old man.
I don't think he needed to be a skeezy old man.
Not necessarily like skeezy, but he's a pervy bachelor.
Not necessary.
now not necessary. Goddamn cats. Anyway, if you're trying to trap Crazy Pants Jack Nicholson, throw him a nude woman who's not his wife, which is the only other woman he will have seen for months. And he didn't have the "what the fuck are you doing here" reaction.
Or, "what the hell did you do to my child?"
Yeah, it's tits. And then you morph her into the old decaying woman in the mirror.
Yeah. Nope, still don't think it's...
Okay. No, it's that you have a fair reaction to that.
I think the same thing could have been done in a woman in a robe.
Mm-hmm.
With the implication...
Without explicit nudity?
Yes. Of her being nude. Without her actually having to be stem to stern naked.
Right. So you're talking like a mid shot with like an open silk robe.
Mm-hmm. Where it shows the
breasts
cleavage.
Aren't exposed, but...
It's obviously that she's not wearing anything underneath this robe.
Right. You're not wrong.
You know. Mm-hmm. Since so many things were implied in this movie, that could have just been one more thing.
Yes, this is true. Alright. Have you had enough fun?
I fucking hate this movie.
Okay.
Sorry. I'll watch my language, Mogwai.
Sorry.
And, I don't know, the other thing what I was reading today during the movie was the career and life of Shelley Duvall, and doesn't have a happy ending. I mean, she's still alive, but...
Okay, do you want to talk about Shelley Duvall?
Well, she seems to have turned into a little bit of a recluse.
Uh-huh.
Then she did an episode of Dr. Phil, where...
In, like, 2016?
Yeah. Where they did nothing to make her look... I don't know. I don't want to say normal. But she had this funny bandana on her head, and she was wearing, like, a muumuu. Like, they weren't even like, hey, maybe we should put some outside clothes on.
Right.
And seemed very much so to be exploitive, and Kubrick's daughter was like, hell no. You know, this is exploitive television and you suck, which as a general rule I believe is true when it comes to Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
But...
Like, it's weird that you're saying that.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, and I remembered hearing something about her in fairly recent, and, like, she hasn't done any acting since, you know, her last kids show went off the air.
Like the mid-90s or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's what I was reading, because I knew I'd heard something about her, but I couldn't remember what it was.
She'd been in some other things by then, too, or around this time. Because, like, wasn't Popeye 1980?
That was at the same time. She got the role while she was shooting this.
Okay. And Time Bandits was 81?
Mm-hmm.
So
and then she did a whole bunch of kid stuff for, like, PBS and...
Well, and that's a good way to, you know, devote your time and your work. Just not a fan?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And maybe because I didn't see it when it was innovative, and now I just see it as long and obnoxious and boring.
I don't think that it's two of those things.
Long and obnoxious and boring?
Yes. I will concede that it is long. I don't think that it's boring. And I don't find it particularly obnoxious.
No, I guess Kubrick obnoxious.
Okay.
You know,
He's not quite as, like, masturbatory as some of the other famous directors.
Well, not like James Cameron, but...
Him, too. I was thinking, like, Zack Snyder.
I'm thinking more along the lines of, hey, I did this really cool shot once.
Spielberg.
You know, I did this really cool shot once. Let's do it 18 more times in the same movie. Mm-hmm. You know.
Which shot was that?
Well, for this one, it's all of the turns. Mm-hmm. in the hallways of this place, following the kid on his,
little tyke
his
or
big
something.
wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, all it screams to me in my head is boot leather, and it's already long enough. It doesn't need boot leather.
Okay.
I think that's where the obnoxiousness comes from. It's like, really? How many times do we have to watch them run around the same damn hallways?
I mean, there's a little bit of that, but I think a little bit of that was also like showing off the Steadicam, which was a new invention at the time. Newish.
Make more than one movie instead of one really long one.
Why would you want to make this into 2 movies?
It's not Twilight.
Don't even start on sequels. Anyway.
And, I don't know, early Jack Nicholson, not a fan. There are very few representations of Jack Nicholson of which I am a fan. A Few Good Men is one of them that I enjoy.
What about Pump Up the Volume?
He wasn't in Pump Up the Volume because you're a jerk face.
I did see a fair amount of Christian Slater in this one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not joking. Like that looks like Christian Slater.
They both have very expressive eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he had been Nicholson had been doing work since the mid '60s. Mm-hmm. I think he wrote Easy Rider, or maybe I think he was somehow involved in Easy Rider's production, as well as like being in it for part of it.
Right.
That's a movie that exists, I guess.
Writer. He was not a writer on Easy Rider.
Okay. So Hopper was written and director of that one?
Yes.
Okay. I've been wrong before.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so to wrap this up, doesn't pass the Bechdel.
Nope.
Because the doctor at the beginning doesn't have a name aside from doctor.
She has a title.
She has a title.
She's a pediatrician.
That's true. But I think even then they mostly talk about Danny and Jack.
Well, yeah.
I could understand, like, oh, hey, I'm the doctor that is being paid to be here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you questions about my patient, your son.
Right.
And, like, so has anything like this happened before? Like, well, his father dislocated his shoulder or something? I don't know.
Yeah, not a good guy.
Yeah, okay. Would you say it passes diversity? Because, like, Scatman Crothers is a character that, well, his character is important to the plot.
They call him the N-word, though.
They do.
And that bugs me.
It bugged me as well, and...
It's another one of those, I think it was supposed to... Because the setting was, in theory, supposed to be in the 1921 ball, that would have been a normal thing to say.
Yeah, it would have been normal for Grady to say in the bathroom.
Right.
Or, like, socially acceptable.
And it falls under this very same...
And when,
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And when Nicholson drops it, he's like, oh no, that guy doesn't know better. You know better, Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Jack Torrance. You know better.
Yeah.
Because, like, Grady just drops it like it's whatever, and Jack kind of repeats it in a questioning fashion.
Right.
Like, a what? Like, yeah, the N-word, buddy. Like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you need to kill your son. Like, okay.
So, yeah.
I would say, though, that, like, you've got Scatman Crothers and his friend who works at the...
Oh, the other guy with the cat?
Yeah, the other guy with the snow cat. He was a little underdeveloped, but he only needed to be in the one scene.
He was named, though. He was
True.
He had a name, whereas it was Larry.
Larry, yes.
Whereas the doctor was not.
Okay.
So I guess in that...
I think you've already made it clear your ambition to see this again.
Is a whole shitload of never.
Whole shitload of never. All right.
Snowcat worth of never.
A snowcat worth of... I'm not in a hurry to watch this again. I mean, I probably would, but not in a hurry.
It was nominated in 1981
For
Worst Actress in the Razzie Awards.
For Shelley Duvall?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I mean, her acting wasn't great, but I honestly don't think that was her fault.
Yeah, that's fair.
Considering what she was put through, I don't think she should be held responsible.
You can't force people to method act.
Yeah.
Well, like, and everyone gives her a hard time, but, like... Okay, first off, nothing bad ever happens to Wendy. She has an honest and real fear that bad things will happen to her. Like, I don't think it's
fair to say that nothing bad happens to her, because her son is an extension of her.
Yes.
And her one and only job in this world is to make sure that her son does not get hurt.
Right.
And so any injury placed upon the son by somebody that she trusted, I think, is...
Mm-hmm. Injurious to herself?
Yes.
Okay.
Her fear is legitimate. It might not be for her personal well-being as much as it is for her...
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, you watch this, and she's... justifiably terrified out of her mind. And... she never gets hit. She never, suffers... She never personally suffers any violence.
You wouldn't consider the axe through the door personal violence?
It didn't hit her.
It was a violent act to get into the space in which she...
That's true.
There's only...
I was wrong.
I was going to say, there was only one person in that room that he was after. And it was her.
Well, he was after both her and Danny. Yeah. He didn't know that Danny was out of the room.
Yeah. But, no, I think... Because he was going through the door with an axe, there is no other assumption to make other than the next thing that's going to get hit is me.
Mm-hmm. But she defended herself.
Yes. She doesn't know how to hold a bat, though.
No, she doesn't. She choked way up on that.
I found that a little irritating.
Didn't know how to hold the knife, either.
That's also true. That was very sloppy.
Yeah, that was not the right knife to be using as well, but... She had the time to find a good blade.
She just picked the first one she saw off the wall.
Yeah.
But there was no... It was all very wimpy.
Mm-hmm. It was all driven by adrenaline.
Yeah.
Anyway. So... Is that about it?
I think that covers my vile hatred of this movie.
Okay.